Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's House Joppa Afternoon Drive. We got ourselves a music show from our Newburyport studios today with one of my all-time favorite guests, making his way all the way from the South Shore today, the great Psaros.
Oh my, the world is ending. Zombies all around my town. Took all the things I needed. Got my head spinning around. Don't say hello to the neighbor. Don't know who I can trust. Don't want to be infected. End up alone because oh my, the world is ending. Find a little peace inside. Goodbye to living in motion. Learn to take it all in stride. Nobody coming to save us. Left here alone to die. Oh my, the world is ending. Gonna be a bumpy ride. You'll never say goodbye to me. I'll never say goodbye to you. You'll never say goodbye to me. Maybe we're living in something we can't define. Feels like political motion, taking up all our time. Maybe we're living in something, wasting our precious time. Find a little faith in love, find a little peace of mind. Oh my, the world is ending. Every man for themselves. Ain't got a fearless leader, just got a broken shell. Don't try to visit your family, don't know who living inside. Can't trust the information, all it's ever done is hide. You'll never say goodbye to me. I'll never say goodbye to you. You'll never say goodbye to me. Maybe we're living in something we can't define. Feels like political motion, taking up all our time. Maybe we're living in something, wasting our precious time. Find a little faith in love, find a little peace of mind. Maybe we're living in something we can't define. Feels like political motion, taking up all our time. Maybe we're living in something, wasting our precious time. Find a little faith in love, find a little peace of mind. Whoa, find a little peace of mind. Whoa.
Psaros, welcome back.
All right, good to see you, Drew.
Sounding great, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You look great. You sound great. How are things?
Thank you. Things are good, man. Things are very good. I'm going to try and talk to you in tune at the same time.
Oh, that's such professional work right there.
But I am glad that I got that song out first.
I know. You were telling me that's a tricky one to play.
It is, and you know what? Because when I'm touring, I don't bring like 3 guitars that are all in different tunings. So I haven't played that song in months. Yeah. And then I went to play it at a gig recently, and it was like a pretty laid-back gig. But, I mean, it was a train wreck of all train wrecks, where I was like sweating, and then I didn't know. I couldn't figure. I was like, what? Why can't I play this right now. You know?
Well, it's been a while. That must be weird when it's one of your babies. You know, it's like
it's just embarrassing. It's just so embarrassing. You know. And,
that is funny.
But I came in, a little early.
Yeah.
Today.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of went through it, and I don't know if it was just because I was like super tired or whatever, but I feel a little more refreshed.
Well, you also know it's one of my favorites. I think I've told you that story before. There was when you released that song a couple of years ago, we were blasting it on the lake up in Maine during the summertime.
Well, that's why I was like, coming up here, I can't mess it up. I mean, there was a little flub in it, but it was passable. It was far better than wherever I played it recently.
It's a great song. Do you get requests for that? I would imagine you do get requests for that one because I think that's one of my favorites. I think.
Yeah, every now and then I get a request. I mean, I feel grateful whenever someone requests anything. And it does happen. Yeah. And I'm always like a little surprised by it. And I need to remind myself, like, you've been doing this for a long time. Like, of course, there's a couple people out there, my mom and my dad, that know these songs,
How are they doing?
They're doing great.
Good.
Yeah. And
cool.
My mom says hi.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah. She's a big fan of Drew here.
I'm a big fan of your mom.
Well, she's looking forward to seeing you at Reds this year.
Yes. You're back in, I saw the flyer the other day. You're back in the MC seat, not really a seat, but
the standing
spot.
Yeah.
MC standing position.
The MC standing position.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you are for those. We're a couple days away here. You are playing Newburyport. Let's just get that right out of the way first.
I am the Firehouse Center for the Arts. So I'm looking for. It looks like we sold some tickets, but we'd like to be able to sell some more.
Yeah.
This isn't really my. It's kind of a newish market in a sense. It's the North Shore, not the South Shore.
A lot of you South Shore people don't cross this way.
They don't cross this way. I mean, just like the North Shore people don't cross the South Shore.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not going there. No, just kidding.
Well, it's tough, dude. This was actually coming up here was great. Yeah. No traffic.
Yeah.
But like 9 times out of 10, it's just you get to Boston.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. I mean, I love the shores for that reason. Like, I don't know how people wake up every day. You don't go into town, do you?
Yeah, we're in Medford now, yeah.
So north.
Yeah, but we never really used to. I mean, I used to be on the old WBZ used to be on Soldiers Field Road.
Okay.
So that would be Boston traffic. But even so, like I was off hours, so it was never. It never like had that traffic disaster that some people had.
I just don't know how people do that every day.
I played Is it Marshfield down there with the golf courses?
Oh yeah.
Is it Marshfield? Yeah, they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was Marshfield. I played golf down there. I remember playing at like 9 a.m., 9 to 1 or whatever. Had a lunch with the boys afterwards, 1 to 2. Yeah. I swear I got back at 6 p.m.
Oh, dude. Well, my wife used to work just north of the city.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour, 45-minute commute from Weymouth.
Yeah.
So it was like if you're working 8 to 5, realistically, you're leaving at like 5:45 and you're home after 7.
Yeah.
It's brutal. I just don't know how.
I get the impression you don't handle traffic well either.
No.
I'm not good at it.
No, I'm not a road rager.
Yeah.
But I could be with enough time.
Yeah.
I've certainly yelled at people, and for me, it's like the thing about traffic is you always roll up to someone that has like 400 feet in front of them, and you're behind them, and you're like, just not that you should be tailgating.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of traffic is avoidable.
Yeah, watching, just keep driving. Everybody keep moving.
People are just idiots.
It is true.
That's
what it's like. I always hear. I'm not a big flyer. This is a really weird transition, but I don't love to fly.
Okay.
I will fly.
Yeah.
Because it's.
I'm not crazy about it either.
Yeah, but I know people like love to travel and love to fly. I'm not one of those people. I do it because it's too long of a drive.
Yeah.
But I was saying the other day, my mom was like, well, I mean, but if you look at the stats, I mean, flying is so much easier. I'm like, I understand the road. You're more likely to get into a car crash than a plane crash. I get it. But I think I'm a good driver. It's. I think somebody else is, John from wherever. He's not a good driver. I see these people out there. It's their percentages that are throwing it all off.
It is. I agree with that, and I would wager, or I would find it very interesting. Now you're getting me all.
He lost his headset.
Yeah, I would wager that I'm surprised they don't do driving grades or like the option for people to take a course to show their ability and maybe like get cheaper insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I guess they do. I mean, car crashes essentially.
It's essentially a thing.
But
that's real time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there should be grades. And then you could have you're banned from. You can't drive into the city. You're
Well, dude, I mean, everyone's been in a car with like a crazy
yeah.
driver before, and you know it when you step in. You're like, oh man, this person. And you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
You don't feel safe. But I feel like we're digressing. Weren't we talking? We have a show to promote.
John Moynihan runs the firehouse. Is watching this, going like, "What are they doing?
Yeah, he's like,
what are they doing?
We talked about this, guys.
Stay focused, boys." Yes, Thursday night.
Thursday night. So it's a 7 p.m. show, or doors are at 7.
Yeah.
And tickets are $10 and $15.
Huge bargain for
huge bargain, bargain of the century. Nice. And but we have the full band with us, and we haven't played a gig together as a band since the CD release, so we're super excited.
What are you? So you bringing is it a 4-piece out there?
It'll be a 5-piece.
5-piece.
So it'll be me, lead guitar player, keys, bass, and drums.
Okay.
Just awesome guys. I'm pumped for you to meet them.
Yep.
And we have our buddy Francois Simard.
Yep.
Opening the night.
Good friend of the show.
Good friend of the show. He called me the other day. He's like, "Do you want me to do all covers or whatever?" I was like, "Dude, stage is yours. Like, do whatever you want. Do originals. If you want to do covers, that's fine." But Francois is great. He is.
What do you tell the opener? Just stay within your time frame. That's all.
That's it. If you go over 30 seconds, I'm going to start yelling at people in traffic. So, but he's just so charismatic and super fun. So I think we'll have a good time. We're gonna try and squeeze a quick rehearsal in before, but the band's just really good. I mean, I'm more worried about myself than I am with these guys because they're just such sharp musicians.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the flunky of the group, you know. And they've all texted me like 8 times. They're like, "Hey, shoot me a set list," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." But I don't want to say easily distractible. I'm juggling a lot of stuff, and as time goes on, I'm learning like, oh wow, I'm really not that good at it.
Yeah.
You know,
500 unread messages.
Yeah, it's just, and it's not.
It is what he has on his phone.
And it's just like I think a lot of it too is I've been traveling so much recently, and when I travel, I have little time for that. Back to our point, I'm driving.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna when I get in the RV, which is how I travel mostly. Like, I try and stay very focused on that, and then otherwise, when you're on a plane, I don't pay the $8 for the Wi-Fi. Because they get you. That's how they get you. You know. But it's like you'll jump a flight and they'll be like $15 for in-flight Wi-Fi. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like I just, you know. And then you get off the plane and it's just. I mean, back to the whole flying thing. What I hate about flying is we're both over 6 feet. Yeah. Which is like, you know, flying. I'm guessing you're not buying first class and I'm not buying first class.
Yeah. True.
So it's like you're super cramped up. And then you get off the plane and like just the walking and the hustling. I mean, I will prefer, like, here's the funny thing. What I've learned, certain parts of the country, for me, it's like draw a line from Michigan south. Yep. It might take me a day and then like a half day to drive out there. But to fly, that's still a full day. Yeah. By the time you wake up, get to the airport 2 hours early. Yeah. And then.
And some say you don't have to deal with the stress, but for some people, the flying is stressful.
Yeah. And then by the time you get off the plane, your hotel, your car rental, you want to get to a hotel, it's like 8 o'clock. Yeah. And so for me, that's I would much prefer. And I had a flight recently. I was out in Colorado with a buddy of mine. Yeah. And dude, we like barely made this flight, and like he was dripping sweat running. I felt he was like super upset with me. He's like, dude, you know, and I was like, you wanted to stop for breakfast sandwiches? He's like, you had to get out of the car at that rest stop.
What do you do these days if you miss a flight? I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually missed one.
So I think if you miss a flight, you can get a new one but it's not as much as the original. Yeah. There's some like rollover. Okay. But it's brutal, and they always overbook these things. Yeah. And they're always like, "Who wants a $300 voucher?" Yeah. Like, so basically, who has like no plans in life ever? You know.
So some people, although they eventually need to get you off the plane, so those vouchers do keep getting better and better.
They do. I mean, so maybe we should book a flight together and just refuse.
Yeah. Everybody stand strong.
It's $5,000 to sit here. I'm like, I'm good.
I flew free for the next 10 years.
Dude, oh man.
Oh man, that is funny. I do want to let's play one more, and then I'm going to have you talk because you've been on the road for a while here, and you have some fun stories.
Yeah,
I've been watching from a distance, and it's been pretty cool. cool.
All right, let's do this one. This one's called I'm Not the Only One.
All right, Jay Psaros live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Take it away.
Love, tell me that you're coming on in. I don't wanna be only one again. Leaving the highway, Indiana calling on down. Daddy done good, yeah, when he come around. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. Yeah, baby, it's a matter of time. Getting real tight, don't know what I'll find yet. Maybe I'm dreaming, hopeful as the summertime wind. I put 20 on black, take me where we've never been. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. Baby, I don't wanna go stealing away in the middle of the morning. Baby, I don't wanna go stealing away in the middle of the morning. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not the only one. Yeah, you wanna come home.
Jay Psaros.
Thank you.
Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Sounding great in our Newburyport studios.
Thanks, brother.
Fairly new one, I think.
Fairly new one,
Fairly
off
new
the,
one,
the May release.
May release.
May release.
It's still fun playing behind those things.
Well, you know, it's funny because like that song, I've been playing that one out in the road, but mostly solo stuff.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
miss the full band behind, because a lot of these songs were kind of written with a band in mind.
Yeah, and then you go out and tour the country with just you and a guitar. That's different, right?
And it's weird, you know, and it's, I'm still trying to figure out, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep a band. The whole point with the band, for me and for, I think a lot of the guys, we all kind of agreed that we don't want to be grinding super hard and bar gigs night after night. So we try and do 4 to maybe 8 shows a year that are kind of special, and that's what
In Jay we trust. Book the special shows.
yeah, so it's, we've had a pretty good track record, and like, you know, when we step outside of the South Shore, it's definitely a little bit more of a gamble for us.
Yep.
But the Firehouse is a great room. I've played there as an opener before, opening for Shun-Ing and Magic Dick. This was several years. He's like a guitar virtuoso. and Magic Dick, the harmonica player from the Jay Giles band.
Yeah.
So that was a thrill, and I haven't talked to Shun in a long time, but he's one of the most intelligent and brightest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
From Singapore. Interesting kid. But that was the last time I was at the Firehouse. And talking to you, I don't even know how the show it was very serendipitous how the show kind of fell together with you and John. But I was like, this would be a great opportunity for the band to do something that's nice. We want to play sets that showcase, my songs and showcase their abilities as musicians. And bars are fun, but sometimes you're not always afforded that ability to show in detail what you've been working on.
I got a little look into the inside of a band leader. I was on a Zoom call with you.
Yeah.
I was like, these things take work to put together.
Oh, it's brutal, man. It is, and it's like the set list, and then the rehearsals.
That's a long time ago too. I remember we first started talking about that.
Yeah.
At least a year ago.
It is. It's like, I know what's funny is we have another show, South Shore at Boston Harbor Distillery, on Sunday, and we were trying to fill in these Friday and Saturday nights, if you know of anything. But it's funny, like we had a couple offers for bars and whatnot, and I just I had 2 pending shows with Amy Grant that didn't go through.
Yeah. And
I was holding on to those, and I probably pushed a lot of stuff aside because I put stock in those shows. And that happens. It's a common thing. You go for a lot of shows. Some of them you get, some of them you don't. But I just wanted to do something that the guys would enjoy.
Yeah.
I try and think that the band is very democratic. They've all been pushing me like, let's update the set list, and I just haven't had time. But we have a big Christmas show, our annual holiday show coming up, and I told them, I was like, after this weekend here, I don't have any more road dates.
Okay.
And I'll just be able to focus on like keeping everyone engaged, because I want everyone to be happy, and I want everyone to play stuff that they have a good time playing and keep it fresh.
When's the Christmas show? That's a South Shore thing, I know. But
yeah, December 23rd.
Oh, okay.
At the C-Note. Great little club. Right on the beach.
So I took a lot of time off around the holidays. Maybe
man.
That's what gets me to the South Shore.
You always have a place to stay.
You know that. I do. You've said that before. I appreciate it very much. I was thinking as I'm listening to you here, I was like, it's been a while since I've heard Jay play, because it's how much I enjoy listening to you. So it's
I appreciate that.
It's I think you're great. I don't just like you as a friend. I thought before I really met Jay, his music caught my ear.
I don't even know how you found me.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know. It was by chance, I know. It was lucky. It wasn't like...
What was the last time I saw you after the Blue Ocean show?
Yeah.
See, I wish I just stayed up there at night. And that
we had a little night we had.
Well, I got halfway. I got like a quarter way home. And I was like, oh yeah, great. And then all of a sudden you're like, the drive. I was like, I should have gone and stayed at Drew's house.
You could have. I offered.
You did offer.
Oh man, it's funny. Yeah, we had to get in all night. That was a great show you played too. That was a last minute one for you.
It was.
It was. Who'd you open for? That was
Johnny A.
Johnny A. That's right.
Yeah. Fabulous guitar player.
Yeah. Is that cool? Because that crowd, that's definitely one of those shows where I remember you got like called or somebody was sick or something. Might have been COVID. Yeah.
I forget the band that was sick.
Yeah, you replaced the whole band. That's right.
Yeah.
And you get this whole crowd ready to see a band, and then you're like, sorry, you got me. And then you completely won them over. You could tell. I knew you would. But
it's always weird. It's the thing is. Yes, I've grown to enjoy that challenge.
Yeah.
But there's always that awkward moment, like Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom.
Yeah.
Sometimes they list an opener, sometimes they don't.
Yep.
And the way those shows start is like the house lights are up, and then all of a sudden the music stops, house lights come down. And the way that they do that, they literally throw a breaker in the back. So in your head, you hear this like whole like, right? It's like that's how you make believe. And but you come out and the audience is like all amped because they think the band that they're going to see, and then you come out as an opener, you're like, hey guys. So, but it's weird because I've noticed sometimes when they do list me as an opener, there's not as many people in seats because they're like, oh, there's an opener. We got a half hour. So it's always a little whatever. But
yeah, I guess that's probably natural. It's probably why maybe a lot of places don't do that, but maybe you appreciate it. I don't know.
I appreciate both. I appreciate the fact that sometimes there's more people in the seats if I'm not listed.
Yeah.
And either way, it's a challenge. I enjoy the excitement of, I don't want to say winning people over, because to me it's very much like meeting new people in a strange thing. I enjoy that introduction. But on the same hand, I also like being listed on bills because I've had a lot of people say, normally we came early tonight because we wanted to check you out and we looked you up.
Yeah.
So it's two different types of exposure. But I will say, I think, like most live music fans, there's nothing like seeing it live.
No.
So if that's my first impression, assuming that I come out and I do well, then I'm always happy with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, Jay Psaros joining us again, South Shore guy here. He's been to the studio, I think, at least, how many times now? At least 3, 4?
Yeah, three or four times.
Yeah. You're a regular here. This
a
is
regular.
Good.
I love it. I sleep in the back.
He's got a guest room whenever he needs it. There's a few of you who have that. That's pretty
There's
funny.
some blankets and a teddy bear for me.
Can you tell me, you've been going through the Midwest and playing with monster bands. You must have stories for days on the road right now.
Well, kind of the joke is amongst the bands is like, that's like a question that a lot of people ask.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of like sit around and wait.
Yeah.
So what was a really interesting thing for me this past year was that I've worked with Three Dog Night for several years now, and this
they
year,
love you.
Yeah, and I love those guys. They've done so much for me. But they've brought me out on their bus for the past couple of tours. So it was my first time like doing the tour bus thing and sleeping. There's 13 guys on the bus.
Oh.
But this past run, someone got sick and it started going around the bus.
Oh.
And I think it was like, I thought I dodged it. And then 3 days after getting home, I was like,
You don't dodge it on those things, right?
Yeah, but the town's really interesting. Like, I went to Aspen for my first time. We paid $80 for 2 breakfast sandwiches and coffees. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was very eye-opening because there's a lot of affluent places on the shores.
Yeah.
And nothing like this. It was
Aspen,
dude. Yeah.
What's a ski ticket?
I thought the Rockies would be a whole lot rockier. Yeah.
Oh man.
But it was like, I don't know. It was a cool venue, and it was strange. It was kind of a whole different type of affluency.
Yeah.
I like playing the off the beaten path towns.
Yeah.
Like we just did Paducah, Kentucky with Collective Soul.
Yeah.
This quaint little town.
You posted the video, or was that not?
I just posted a video.
Cool little
about
theater.
It. Great theater. I love those little theaters.
Yeah.
It's like 900 to 1,800 person rooms.
Yep.
For a singer songwriter, it's great. Like there's some shows that I've done. 3, 4, 5, maybe close to 6,000 people, and it's almost like the more people in my position, I do less, at least from a merch standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you get swallowed up by the whole thing.
Yeah.
These little theaters, you're front and center. Everyone hears you. You can connect with people.
Yeah. Is there any I know you're a professional. You've been doing this for so long. Do you?
Professional's a strong word.
you are very much a professional. Does it matter if you're playing to 10,000 or 50? 10,000 people are literally 50 people. Is it all the same? Is it all just a room of people to you?
No, it's very different. I think at least. I think once you get more than a couple hundred people in a room, you play to a mass.
Yeah.
And I think
at that point, it doesn't matter.
At that point. Yeah, there's always a couple of strong personalities that stick out.
Yeah.
But smaller rooms, it feels like you're playing to like 100 different personalities.
I get that, yeah.
So it's a little, for me at least, you approach it with the same, with the same, I guess, not professionalism, with the same intent.
Yeah.
To do a good show, whether there's 5 or 5,000. You always want to do your best.
Yeah.
And you always want people to have a good time, and you want to put on a quality performance.
Yeah.
But I think it is different playing a bigger room to a smaller room.
Yeah.
It's the sound is different, the nuance is different, the way you play is different.
Yep.
But it's all with the same goal, to put a good show on and hopefully form a connection with some people.
That last night we had out, the personal night when we were hanging out, we ended up at Hampton Beach Bar, and and I was thinking about that with you because you actually were like, I'll go play a couple. This will be fun. And a little corner bar somewhere. It's it's probably 10, 12 people or however many are there. And I was thinking to yourself, I was like, look how much he cares though. I love that. Learn at somebody let you borrow the guitar and you're playing with the loop station and you're like I want to make sure I get it right. This is gonna be good.
Of course. it's like anything you do, you want to be a decent person.
Yeah.
And represent yourself well, even though sometimes you don't. Because you just like, Yeah. And like any job, there's definitely days where I'm like, man, I'm just like.
Yeah.
Sleeping would be great right now.
When does the sleep kick in? Is that at some point? Holidays?
Holidays. I mean, I naps. I'm big on naps.
I am too. Although maybe we should play one and get into the naps conversation because I'm thinking, I've noticed I do a lot of naps.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, because we both work crazy hours.
Yeah.
I can relate to musicians as far as the hours go.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm realizing that I'm sleeping a lot and just waking up in the middle, like in a good sleep.
Yeah.
But waking up and going, where am I? What time is it? Where are we? Okay.
Yeah.
I got 4 more hours. Okay. And then like do the same thing 90 minutes later, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like I feel like as I get a little closer to 40, like it's harder for me to nap, and I almost just plow through being tired.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of a crummy place. I don't know. It's just I don't know what your schedule is because you're up so early.
Yeah.
And then, but you have to because you function like either super early or we've done work together that's very late.
Yeah.
And it's like you have all day to sleep, but it's like, is it good sleep?
You don't,
You know?
And you don't want to really sleep when it's a beautiful day outside. You know? I want to walk my dogs.
You know, carpe diem. Yeah.
Francois' birthday is the night of. This is his birthday this week.
Oh, is it really?
I don't think it's not the actual night of the show, but it's.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He invited me out. Are you gonna go out for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that actually his day too? I know he was really working on schedules because it's a busy week. You guys are playing Thursday. I think I forget what day his actual birthday is, but then he's trying to get the kids to the party that they're having as a family.
Oh,
so he's running all over the place.
Yeah, he is.
We wish Godspeed to you this week, Francois. You got another one there for us?
Yeah, man. This one's called These Times, also from the album.
All right, Joppa Psaros, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive.
Yeah, these times they've been wearing on my soul. Yeah, these times they've been wearing on my soul. So much for living in good old rock and roll. These times they've been wearing on my soul. Yeah, these times they've been whispering in my ear. Yeah, these times they've been whispering in my ear. They're telling me something that I don't want to hear. Well, these times they've been whispering in my ear. Feel it in the morning, you got no place to go, and the work has seen all but disappear. Feel it in the evening, the lights are hanging low, and the days begin to take away your years. Yeah, these days they've been looking all the same. Yeah, these days they've been looking all the same. Only difference, there ain't no one to blame. Yeah, these days they've been looking all the same. Feel it in the morning, you got no place to go, and the work has seen all but disappear. Feel it in the evening, the lights are hanging low, and the days begin to take away your years.
Jay Psaros.
Thank you, Drew.
Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive, music show from our Newburyport studios today. Jay and his band, the Jay Psaros Band, playing Thursday night. Here in Newburyport at the Firehouse. Francois Simard opening, so it should be a big time show.
Big time.
Thursday night. Thursday night, big going out night. Come on.
Everyone's going out on Thursday night.
I know. We'll do a little. I'll post some of the stuff on Instagram later too. So
I like to think that Thursday and Friday is the difference between a sold out show and a not sold out show.
All right. Possibly. Yes, possibly.
The only reason.
That'll be fun. That'll be a good room for you guys. I'm excited for it.
And you're going to introduce us, so you said, right?
Oh, I did say that. Yeah.
You still want to?
I had forgotten until now, but yes, I will certainly do it.
To.
Oh, I like doing that stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Although, did I tell you that it's funny? So that was the first thing other guys who come on the show. You know Sal Baglio and those guys, John Butcher.
I know who John Butcher. I know who they are. Yes. I don't know them personally.
So Alan Estes, he's a Gloucester guy.
Yep.
You've probably never been there. It's a North Shore place. Those three were doing this great
fishermen, right? Yeah. No.
Yeah, fishermen. They're the Gloucester fishermen, the rivals of Danvers High School, by the way.
Oh, interesting. Wait, the Gloucester school name is the Gloucester Fishermen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Of course.
And we're the Danvers Falcons. That was the old rivalry, Thanksgiving game and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Alan's from Gloucester. But so they came in here one day and they asked me to do the same thing. So I was like, oh, sure, yeah, it'll be great. I think nothing of it. Like I go meet them, just, a couple minutes before I run back there. Hey, we'll do a quick thing. How long you want me to go? And they're like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so John goes, only thing, they're sitting on the stools. Do you mind taking a wireless mic? And I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. So I walk up there and it was the first thing that I had done, like in person speaking wise. I mean, I'm on the radio every day, but it's a whole different, it's a fake live, it is different when you're actually looking at people. And I realized I hadn't since COVID done a thing where I've looked into an audience.
Yeah.
And I looked into that light. And I said,
you can't see anything.
Oh, whoa. I forgot what this feeling's like, It was very weird. I remember going back and I was just like, I haven't had I was, fine. I said what I needed to say, but I was like, I don't think I've actually had those quick nerves kick in that in ages.
See, that's radio for me.
Yeah.
It's because it's different. It's like the fake live thing.
Yeah.
It's, I there's something about a live audience that is very forgiving. Mm-hmm. And there's something about recorded stuff that is not.
Yes.
I don't know. But I hear stuff that's recorded live to radio, and I appreciate the scruffness of it, because it's very real.
Yeah.
It's very real. Where I think, in a sense, almost more real than live sometimes, because an audience can hide things. A moment is fleeting.
Yeah.
But when you capture a moment, with microphones and stuff, the moment's less, it's magnified in a sense.
Yeah, there's a genuine, when it's done right, it's the genuine piece to it. I remember my first even just talking on the radio, even without being at a store and getting all that sound and talking to the people,
right?
Even just within your own voice, they always if somebody's not being themselves, the listener can see through it.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, there's definitely shows that I've done where I'm like, I like this because we're friends. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
because it's just it's a conversation we'd have anyways with microphones in front of us. But you definitely do shows where someone steps on and they step into their personality or whatever. And there's a little bit of that. When we start going, we're both very aware of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
But it's
oh, wait, we've started?
Yeah. Is this thing on right here?
Maeve, I was unaware we were. Maeve Power running the show again, by the way. We got to give her a shout out. I always forget until the end of the show. I'm going to start leading with you, Maeve. Thank you for all the great work.
She was very sweet, by the way. Or you are very sweet, Maeve. Yeah, she came in and got me all set up and took good care of me.
She's great.
I was scolded for putting water on the thing. And,
yeah. I believe there was an incident back in the day.
No, what's funny is there's a sign right here. And stupid me came down, was like,
right in front of the sign.
Yeah. She's like, so we're just gonna put this over here because you're an idiot. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, she's great. Well, she, this may or may not surprise you. I'm not always the easiest. A lot of times I'm running in at the last minute. A lot of times I'm changing schedules on her.
This
a lot
is
of
why
times
we get along. You're like complete hot messes.
I'm sorry. We get that one's canceled. We got to go an hour later. Is this cool? I almost always the answer is yes with Maeve. So I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you, Maeve. Thank you for getting this going while Drew was getting here.
I like to, and often the guests will beat me. I like to think, and it's not because I'm not planning. It's just it's always the thing before, right? You know what that's like.
Well, that's life, dude. It's like, it's nothing is ever, and I think for anyone trying to do something, if you're looking for a smooth ride, it's never going to be the case.
Yeah.
And it's funny because maybe that's one thing that I've learned a lot being out on the road with some of these guys is you kind of always think as an artist that's trying to succeed and trying to come up that, oh, you get to a certain level and it gets easier. But it doesn't, man. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a tour bus broken down or a band show up to a hotel where there's no heat, you know, or the food that was supposed to be provided is gone.
Yeah.
Or the audience just isn't coming in on time. You got to push the show back. Or something's wrong with the sound. I mean, it is relentless. It is a constant battle against something.
Everything but the music, usually, right?
Everything but the music. It really is. And I think that's I think maybe as we're getting a little bit older, that's what you learn with everything is it's constant. It's constant. It's relentless, dude. It is, you know. And I'm not trying to say that as in a bad way or anything.
Yeah.
It's just you either embrace it or you don't.
I've heard so many people say that however long they're on stage, whether it's 90 minutes or 3 hours, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's the payoff.
It's the payoff.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny. I had a conversation with Ed Roland, who's Collective Soul's writer and frontman, and had a nice opportunity to sit down and he bought my buddy and I lunch and kind of just talked to him. And, you know, we were saying what a funny thing it is to drive all these hours in this big production for, you know, an hour and a half or 45 minutes on stage. And, you know, we're talking to him about his success and, you know, all these guys, no matter, you know, because I've worked with a lot of bands that have been around for a long time and they never do it for the money.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big part of doing anything too, is it's the fight. The fight is always worth it for those gratifying times on stage.
Yeah.
Because it's a special thing and you feel it and it's very real and it's funny too because almost when you walk off the stage, those feelings end, and it's like, well, was that even real? Yeah. But it like is.
Now on to the next city.
And not until the next city. It's a very weird thing. It's hard to describe. It's like it's a high.
Yeah.
You know, and. Usually, I mean, I've been up there. I've had and every band has. Everyone's that's been in this business has bombed more than once.
Yep.
But then that's the challenge. You're like, oh man, why that? What can I do better? Why'd that not go so well? What did I slack on that made me mess this up? Was it what was it? What was the case?
A little hard on yourself with that one.
Of course, you know, it's like every little thing you start getting hypercritical on.
Yep.
But that's the fun. It's like, what's the point? It's at least what I love about music is there's always something to do better. Yeah. And nothing's ever finished. And it's like, I think if something was finished, it'd be very boring.
I would agree.
You know, like
you took Dad on the road, right?
Took what?
Your dad on the road?
Oh, I did. Yeah. I thought you said you took that on the road. I was like, that spiel? I was like,
I say it every night, Drew.
Well, we laugh because my mom and I, we call my dad the all-access industry insider.
Nice.
Because he loves it, and he's, like, super helpful.
Yeah.
But, a couple funny stories about him coming out. So he's gotten to know the guys in Three Dog Night pretty well because he's come out with them primarily.
Was he a fan before?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, that was his generation.
Everybody was, yeah.
Everybody was. And so I kept trying to tell him, like, Dad, like, if you can get a couple pictures, that would be like a huge help. Yeah. Because nowadays, if there wasn't a picture, it didn't happen. Yeah. So I'm like, can you get a couple pictures from stage? And he's like, I'm not going out there. I'm like, listen, people aren't going to notice you. You stay behind like the drum riser. He's like, I'm not doing it. So I try to get him out there. You know, I told him we're all black. And we got him a credential, like a laminate, so he's like, people aren't going to know who I am. I'm like, doesn't matter. So I'm out there the first night, and I'm like, this is a very special night. I got my number one fan and my roadie with me. I got my dad out in the road, and he's going to come say hi, and he's nowhere to be found. And I'm looking side stage, and I'm like, he must be out at the merge table. And I'm thinking, geez, Dad, wait a... So then the second night, I'm like, listen, and I see him standing by the monitor engineer, and I finally... was able to like, hey, here's my dad, big round of applause, and got this whole theater. They're like, hi, Brian. And so he saunters out on stage, and I was like, he's going to try and take a picture of all of us together real quick. I was like, make him feel welcome. So he gets out the camera, and I see him. He puts the glasses on, and he's you know, trying to get through everything. And I'm like, thanks so much, Dad. Like, let's hear it for him. And he walks off. So I finish the set, and I come back, and he's like, oh, man, what a rush. Like, that, I was so nervous. I was like, yeah. I was like, but they loved you. Like, it was fun. I was like, how'd you do with the photos? And he was like, check them out. Literally, I wasn't in any of the photos. It was like he got 2 pictures. One of them was my feet in the stage floor, and the other one was like the spotlight. And that was it. He was like, the adrenaline was running, and you know. And then there was another night where like I'm like, okay, when I'm done with my set, like just be ready at merch, because if all goes well, there'll be a line out there. Yeah. And I look over when I finish my set, and he's sitting on a road case just drinking a Bud Light, and I'm like, Dad, like, you know, we gotta get out there. He's like, oh. Finishes his beer, does the slow walk, and I go out there to find him with like 10 bent CDs because he couldn't get the wrapper off, and he's like trying to open them with like a fork, and that's my fault because I'm wildly unprepared. Yes, you know, I don't have. He's like, "Where's the bank?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't have a bank." He's like, "What do you have to open these?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Where's your credit card reader?" I was like, "I'll just do it manually." Like, I'm a disaster, you know. But he loves it. We spend some great time in the RV together. Just a lot of laughs, and I'm glad that he gets to experience, you know, what I do firsthand.
You look back on those days fondly.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You know,
that is great. I remember that you played. I remember seeing you in Beverly one night, and you were like, you know, by the way, I got a jet. I'm literally going. I forget where you were going. You were Midwest or something?
Oh yeah, so we were doing. That was at Karen's place, the North Shore Music Theater.
Yeah.
And
Karen S. and Benny.
Yep, and then we did a show with Adam Ezra there. And it was like an 11-hour drive to Ohio.
Ohio, yeah. That's right. Because you had asked me to go. I was like,
you were like, I can't do that. I can't go. So it's funny. He came, and I think that was one of the first times he came out. Yeah. And it was like, that was a big run. That I think was maybe 10 or 11 shows with Gordon Lightfoot before he passed. Mm. And I remember leaving.
Speaking of pictures, that was a great photo of you guys backstage, or wherever that was, just casual. Like, I love that candid of just you guys talking.
That was his wife, man. So Gordon's wife has a cousin that's a Psaros, and they're all in Iowa. There's like a huge Psaros population in Iowa. Oh, wow. Funny thing, this past year we played the Surf Ballroom, which is a legendary room because it's the last place that Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and Big Bopper played before the plane crashed. The plane took off from there and crashed. It's owned by a Psaros that knows the Psaros that's a cousin of Gordon's wife, if you could follow that. Wow. So it's just a weird...
That's a small world.
But so that run, I remember picking my dad up at my parents' house, and he comes out of the garage, and he has like a 7-inch buck knife. And he's like, you know, just for protection out there. I'm like, so are you going to stab someone to death, you know?
Ohio, man.
Ohio, dude.
It's rough this time of year.
I'm glad you brought your prison shank with you today, you know?
Oh, my goodness, that's funny. Yeah. Those guys, I do my buddies over at the iHeart Studios are Carlson and Mackenzie and Heather and Kenny Young and those guys. And but they're Ohio guys. Carlson and Mackenzie, they like literally had a show there, and that's where they grew up. I think they still have family there and everything.
What do they say about Ohio?
They say a lot. I'm noticing the other day, I took another shot at Ohio because I said, what are you doing? You know, you're going away. This was a couple of weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I'm going away. And I said, where are you going? Oh, just Ohio. And I go, just Ohio.
Just Ohio.
And I was like, it's probably great, you know, I don't know. But what's your best Ohio story?
Ohio.
Wow.
I mean, the only time I played in Ohio, I think, was at the Goodyear Theater with Gordon. It's just, you know what, a lot of middle America, it's really hit or miss. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of beautiful cities, but then there are a lot of not beautiful cities. I love the people wherever you go. I think that's like, it's I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I think for me, a big thing with the Midwest is I'm so used to scenery that's dramatic. Like, we're spoiled. Yeah. Growing up next to an ocean and the mountains, and you get out there and there's none of that. Yeah. It's cornfields. Yeah. And like, maybe you get a river or a lake and some forest, but it's the scenery's different. Ohio, I had one of the sketchiest stays. I lied. I played in Ohio again. I love Columbus. we just stopped through Columbus, and I played at the Woodlands Tavern this past year, routing out to some shows. Columbus is great. Very hip, very collegey.
Okay.
But I was actually with my father for one of those runs, and we stayed in the sketchiest hotel room at the Ohio airport, the whatever Columbus airport hotels. And it was like, you walk in, a lot of the places have like the outdoors is indoors type deal.
Yeah.
And everything was shut down. Like all the water fountains were shut down, no breakfast. It was just super sketchy. And I started reading the reviews of the hotel room. And one of them was like, I found an actual human poop. Like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. It was one of those rooms you were kind of scared to leave.
Yeah.
You got in your room and you were just like, oh my God. Like, I hope.
Man.
But that's any city.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine coming to Boston, and if there's what is the Roundhouse Suites, and you're on Hotwire, because a lot of times you can't see the hotel.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the deal within 2 miles of your destination. And, I'm clearly always on a budget here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, imagine coming to Boston and you get put in that part of the city. It's a tough part of Boston.
Yeah.
And there's it's a sad thing. There's a lot of sad and scary and unfortunate stuff going on around there.
Yeah.
You got to be careful. Every city, every place has its good spots and bad spots.
That's interesting. Yeah. So when I asked the best Ohio story, that's what came to mind. Is some of the roughness of it all. That's interesting.
I don't want to like.
No, I know it's a good answer.
But that's everywhere, and I think I don't know. Columbus is great though. I really enjoy Columbus. I just haven't seen. It's hard to give any like real opinion on a place because you're not there long.
Yeah.
Like you drive through the night and then you're kind of at the venue during the day. Every once in a while you have an off day in between where you're not traveling or you don't have to drive and you can like go check out a place. But it's not too often.
Yeah. What was Gordon like?
Gordon was great, man. He was a perfectionist to the very last second. Yeah. He was very sweet, very nice, very encouraging. He was certainly, the year that I worked with him was the last year that he was alive.
Yeah.
So he like asked for my CD and he listened to it and he remembered it. And like when I saw him again, he'd be like, oh, I enjoyed your CD. He was very encouraging. He took the time to talk to my wife about everyday stuff. He would crack a joke every now and then. A funny Gordon story was he was talking to my wife and he comes out from around the bathroom and I don't know what he was doing, but he had this one big rubber glove on, like, and we're all kind of eating dinner and he sees Kate and he just starts talking to Kate and having this conversation.
Yeah. And
in my mind, I'm like, Kate, do you realize that you're talking to like arguably one of the best songwriters ever of all time, and I'm like geeking out, but Kate, I don't think she gets it, but it doesn't have as big as an impact to me as it does to me. But he was very sweet, and he would always, one thing I noticed about him was that he would show up at the venue every day at noon and be very active and sound check, and he would tune his guitar several times throughout the day. Clearly his voice wasn't what the voice of Gordon Lightfoot was many years ago, but what was so amazing is he conveyed the same feeling and emotion with it, which was really the exception. What I thought made him such an exceptional artist is he was able to take whatever set of tools he was kind of given and convey the feeling and the thoughts and the emotion of these songs.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's well said.
And he did some funny stuff where it's like he was such like a... We're getting the wrap up thing here, but he was so.
It happens.
Yeah, he was so funny because like he had like this whole different level of comfortability on stage.
Yeah.
Where a couple times like maybe you need to go get a glass of water or something. He just like walked off stage, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" Then he comes back. He's like, "Sorry about that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, like I get 5 seconds of silence on stage, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, like how do you? I don't know. It was a blessing. It was a master class to be able to watch him
till the end. Hearing that story about him putting all the work in till the very end.
He did. He really did. Every day. It was very, very inspiring.
All right. Well, speaking of work, Psaros Thursday night here in Newburyport.
That's right.
The Firehouse. It's 7:00. Doors open at 7 or.
I think
6?
doors are at 7. You know,
shows at 7. I think.
Shows at 7. Let's check the website. Our good buddy Francois Samard opens up.
Yeah, go get tickets. You can go to the Firehouse, and I'm sure they'll have walk-up tickets too. But buy them beforehand if you can, and because I think I'm hoping that place fills up really quickly for you guys.
I hope so too, man.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
All right, very good. You want to play us out with one too? That'll be fun.
Let's do.
Maeve Power, thank you. I know. I'm tough to deal with. I'm hard to deal with.
I know you like this one. Here's Whiskey in the Rain for you.
All right, Psaros bringing us home. Go see him Thursday night here in Newburyport. My name is Drew Moholland, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Whoa, yesterday, country road, simple way, so easy then to get your fill. My, how it's changed, but my memory remains of whiskey in the rain on a hill, where I'd repeat the same old songs. Then you tell me that I sing the chorus wrong. We didn't need much to catch our thrill, drinking whiskey in the rain on a hill. Road 49 from the highway to the riverside, we wind below the moon up above. Time it was filled, and there never was a bill with whiskey in the rain on a hill, where I'd repeat the same old songs. Then you tell me that I sing the chorus wrong. We didn't need much to catch our thrill, drinking whiskey in the rain on a hill. So let us go back to where the whiskey grows 10 feet below the moon on a hill. Take the long way back down dirty roads with timber stacked. Here's to you and me not looking back. Here's to you and me not looking back to where I'll sing the same old songs. Then you tell me that I sing the chorus wrong. We didn't need much to catch our thrill, drinking whiskey in the rain on a hill, drinking whiskey in the rain on a hill, drinking whiskey